What does purpose mean to you? Welcome to the Alchemy of Alignment. I'm Susie Sanders, your ever curious host. And today we've got a wonderful guest who I've been pestering to come and join us to talk about purpose and many other things, I'm sure. Martin Crooke is here, and Martin is a chartered accountant and business advisor for a firm of a well-established accountancy firm. And the reason that I've been pestering Martin to come and join us today is because not only is he incredibly skilled and experienced in his craft, he's also a wonderful human being, and he's got that great balance of expertise and eloquence. So, Martin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. You all right?
I'm all right. How's
Good.
everything going with you?
Oh, it's brilliant, thanks. Yep, taking it easy. January's over. Just chilling in February now.
We were just chatting about this as a little bit of a spoiler. As most people know, January is not a fun time for most accountants, but Martin, you seem to have had a real great mindset and approach to this year. And you were just saying, it's been steady, stable, productive, not stressful, right?
Yeah, I've been really prioritizing the gym. It's kind of like sacred time. Between 12 and 2, I've kind of set that out. And in January, out of the 20 weekdays, I went to the gym, 18 of those at lunchtime between 12 and 2. So I think whether that meant that I had to be more efficient and I had to, when I spend more time focused, deep work. But I didn't feel super busy. It was just nice. It was nice. But you have to say you're busy when you're an accountant, because otherwise people think you're not very good. But why aren't you busy? It's January. Surely you've got loads of tax returns. But the reality is I just did most of them sooner. I had a busy December and January the last few years, and I thought I don't want that again. So I just got my act together and set myself some deadlines and got them done sooner. But yeah, it was nice to be a bit more chilled. Although working in a firm where there's other partners and other employees and colleagues running around busy, you kind of can't act like you're not busy because they might ask you to do something. So
the trade secrets coming out already.
No, what I mean is we're a very supportive team, and I'm more than happy to help everyone.
You do know this is recording and we're going out live with it.
They won't watch it. They won't care.
Oh, well, I applaud that, Martin. I really do. And thank you for being here. And we always, if you're new here, I'll always kick off each episode with what I call a big question. So, Martin, what does purpose mean to you?
Yes, big question. It is a very big question, and I'm glad. Again, spoiler, you let me know what it was going to be beforehand.
Don't give away my secret.
It's trade secret, sorry. But I'm glad you did, because my immediate reaction, I think, would genuinely be to earn loads of money, provide for your children, and have a nice, comfortable life. But then I've been walking the dogs and running and thinking about this every day, pretty much, because I think it is important that we do spend time to think about this, because when do you? But the point of a purpose is it structures every other decision you make, right? Because if you don't know what your purpose is, you don't know what the point is of every decision you make. But if you know, right, this is what I want to do, that means I need to do this, this, and this. So purpose for me, I think, having thought about it a lot, it's to enjoy life, right? It's to enjoy life, encourage the people around you to enjoy life, make impacts on their positive impacts on them, so they enjoy things better. Because at the end of it, let's say I were to say I want to create something amazing and leave behind, I'll be dead. Who cares? All right, people remember me. I'll be dead. Who cares if they remember me? I'm dead. I don't know. So I kind of think, well, yeah, I get it, but really, if you haven't enjoyed the process, then what's the point? So I have been getting super deep into this and thinking about, especially with the kids, do I want to spend my life working hard, missing the big events of their childhood, so that when they're older, I can hand them down money and a business? I don't think so. And then on my walk this morning, I was like, the routes, the rabbit holes you go down when you start thinking about stuff. I was then thinking, okay, well, let's say I got super successful, had loads of money, good business, so that I could give my kids a bunch of money and a bunch of stuff. And then I started thinking about, well, if they got, if they get given everything all their life, then they're never going to have to work for anything themselves. So I'm kind of then taking away the opportunity for them to be as good as they could possibly be, because they would never have had to learn to work hard, and they wouldn't have to work hard and create anything for themselves because I've just given it to them. So I was thinking, well, how selfish am I to take that opportunity away from them by handing everything on the plate all their lives? So purpose, very big question. I think it's all about enjoying the process, enjoying life. But who knows? I mean, that might change day to day, depending on the circumstance, right? Maybe I'm a bit comfortable right now, so I think, yeah, just enjoy life. But if I was a bit struggling, I might be thinking, my purpose is to make more money because it's not fun right now. But it's a very good and very deep question that I think everyone needs to think about and write down as well, make notes. Because once you've nailed that, you can then structure every day to align with that. But if you're not thinking about it, you don't know where you're going, then what's the point of every day? What are you there to achieve that day? It's super interesting, and I thank you for asking me the question. It made me think.
Oh, well, I thank you for answering it so honestly and freely. And it is a big question. And the reason that I share my big questions with my guests before each episode is to allow that time for reflection and thought. But equally, most people, their initial reactions when you're talking about purpose and these big questions is that kind of like, oh, I feel like I need to have it all figured out. And there is that kind of pressure for a lot of people, isn't there? I know I've felt that most of my life, like, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I here for? But from what I've heard from you there, Martin, it is big, it is multifaceted, it's covering everything, every part of your life, who you are as a human being, and really interesting perspective on the being selfish, I think was the word you used, taking those opportunities away from your children by giving them too much.
Yeah.
I'm using my words carefully, but equally the joys in the journey, right? And I say that to myself, and when I'm in my business, the joy is the process. It's not the destination. We're enjoying the journey, the learnings, the experiences, all of those things along the way. So it is, the joys in the journey, and time is our most valuable resource, because time, money, there's a lot of talk of, obviously you're an accountant, we're going to talk about money, but money's the tool, right, that we use to give us time or freedom or choice. It's really, really quite fascinating.
I think, you said money is the tool, and I was, again, when I was having my little wander this morning, there's that saying, isn't there, that like, if you give a man a fish, he can eat for a day, but if you give him the tools to fish, he can eat for the rest of his life. And I think it's actually knowing what those tools are. At what point are you just facilitating or enabling your children to not have to fend for themselves, versus at what point, what can you give them to help them fend for themselves almost? I don't know the answer to that, and I know that if I had vast amounts of wealth, I'd want to do right for. I'd want to, in my mind, do right for my kids. Buy them houses, buy them cars. I'd want to provide for them. But in the same sense, if you're, I didn't grow up like super poor, but we didn't have loads and loads of money. We perhaps furthest we went on holiday was like France on a ferry, every so often. Most of our holidays were in the UK. But I think it makes you hungrier when you don't come from a lot. So if you're then dishing out wealth, assets, you're taking that hunger away. What are they there to go for? But is there something you've given that could inspire them or encourage them, whether you could put something in a trust and say this only becomes active once your income exceeds 100,000 a year. Whether you could do something like that to kind of say, look, you've got all this wealth there, it's there for you, but you've just got to do something, work hard to earn it, and then once it's there, so you at least got to go some of the way. But I don't know what the answer is, and like I say, if I had the money there, I'd probably dish it all out to the kids anyway, because you just you feel it just dies with you, doesn't it? They're going to have it at some point. So I don't have the answer, but yeah, I think there must be some way you can give them tools to help them. You never want to see them struggle, and you'd hope they wouldn't have to. But I don't know. I don't know if just handing their life on the plate is the right thing to do. But it's so interesting.
It is, and there's two things. One thing that stood out in my mind from what you just shared there, Martin, was what's right by me, because that's another really kind of that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down, isn't it? Because we all have our unique needs, preferences, learning style. We are all such unique beings, and what is right to me wouldn't be right to you or anyone else, and it's kind of factoring that in, isn't it? And the greatest thing that I'm thankful that my parents kind of instilled in me is a absolute relentless work ethic. And I think my approach now is, what can I learn? What can I do? I've joked about this with one of my friends recently. We've started referring to me as the escalator, because I'm always like, right, so how can we do that better? Or how can we do that bigger? Or how can we do that differently? I'm always escalating things. But that's who I am. And that's what I bring to my family, my business. I instill that kind of that curiosity in my children and that kind of love of learning, because I think that's the kind of thing, learning, curiosity, creativity, they're all the things that allow you to experience life and make a difference. And but then everybody is so uniquely different, aren't they? It's it's a big topic, and I can understand why. I'm not afraid of big topics and big feelings, but people do sometimes feel a bit, particularly, smaller business owners, because I was having this conversation just yesterday with someone who started up their business, insanely skilled and talented at what they do. But they were like, well, I don't have a team to do this for me now. I can't just ask someone to put this on the website, and I can't just, I haven't got to go and talk to the accounting department. And they were really feeling the loss of that as they were building their business. And when you're starting a business or running a business, which I know a lot of your clients do, and it's all the things need doing, all the hats need wearing, all the bases need covering, all the plans need doing. And it's just it's values and vision and purpose and those types of things can feel, and challenge me if you think I'm wrong, Martin, but they can feel like less of a priority, the more soft, fluffy side to business. But as we've already identified, that purpose is what defines every decision. So challenge me. What's your take?
No, I agree, and I think everyone thinks they know the purpose, and like I said at the beginning, that none of us really consider it, and we certainly don't write it down. But you think you know it because you just think, well, it's to earn a load of money, and I think that's people's default, is I'm in business to earn loads of money. But when they really think about it, that isn't what they want to do. They want to do other things, but money will help support that. But no, I think most people, they go in. They might have a dream at the beginning, and generally, if you going for funding, grants, loans and stuff, you'll have to put a business plan together, which will probably include some kind of values and goal and stuff like that. And that's perhaps, they'll just maybe, I don't know, these days, chat GPT to get something off just to chuck on the business plan. They won't really spend time thinking about it. But yeah, I think they think they know what it is. I think they know that it's to make loads of money. But I don't think that is ever really the purpose. and I think people do need to spend more time, but it is fluffy bullshit, isn't it? It is when you have your little workshops where you sit down and get everyone to go around and talk about your core values, and you write them on your wall, and it's all just like, you know, we will be respectful to one another. It's all just it is crap, but it is important that we take time to actually focus on them, because yes, we might think it's crap because we think, oh, it's common sense, we should all know that, but we don't spend the time to think about it day to day, and we forget. We forget what the main purpose is. I play games a lot, video games, and my favorite analogy when it comes to things like purpose and goals is that when you're playing your video games, especially these days, you regularly press pause or check the objectives. What have I got to do next? That's what I've got to do. If they took that ability away and you didn't know where you're supposed to go, didn't know what you're supposed to do, you just spend your whole time just walking, running, driving around with not having a clue, and then you just stop playing it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so what's the point? So taking the time to think about your objectives, write them on your wall, whatever it is you need to do, have them somewhere where you can see regularly, so actually, right, today I need to do this one thing to get closer to that. But if you just think, yeah, it's in my head somewhere, I know what it is, it's fluffy, it's earn loads of money, then you're not going to do anything that day to support that, and you'll do that day after day after day until you just lose sight and you just forget that there was an objective in the first place, and what is the point? So yeah, I don't think business owners do spend enough time doing it. Maybe the younger generation perhaps do these days. It's all, quite topical. Everyone is writing their values all over their walls, but most people, I think, they start a business because they think it's an easy way to earn more money than having a job, and then they don't stop to think about the big things like that.
I'd argue it's not the easy way.
Well, obviously, when you're in it, you realise.
But I love that analogy, and this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, the world. If you don't know what's important to you, someone else will tell you, right? Because we have constant access to social media, information overload, opinions, gurus. Like, if we don't know what's important to us, then we're just going to be following someone else's purpose or someone else's path. And, there's no judgment here. I think, there's no right or wrong. I'm not perfect. I found myself going, what is the point? Numerous times, but I think it's the ability to see that and to be able to kind of course correct yourself and say, okay, I'm feeling this way. This is going on. What is the point? What's the purpose? Coming back to that. And I think that I've seen this come up a couple of times in previous episodes and just kind of more broadly with conversations that I'm having. It's those values and those things that are really important to you as an individual. It's embodying that, it's living that, it's decision making from that, not just having them on words on the wall. Like, here's at said company, we're honest. It's like, well, everyone's saying that, but how am I carrying that honesty through, just as a random value, but how am I carrying that through day to day, moment by moment? And that is, I think, that's a muscle I'm still kind of flexing and learning with, because you mentioned this earlier, Martin. It's different day to day. Like, there's different demands on us moment to moment. There's different responsibilities. There's a whole heap of curveballs that life and business will throw at us. And again, there's this sense of, oh, I'm going to earn loads of money. I've arrived. I'm earning loads of money. Great. And I know a few business owners who've had these wildly ambitious goals as they've seen them, £1 million turnover, this amount of staff, blah, blah, blah. They've achieved that and then gone, oh, well, this wasn't what I thought.
Yeah.
And again, no judgment, but this comes back to the point you were saying about what is the goal? Like, is it that to earn loads of money? Because what's maybe the question is, what is that money giving you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think That's the key thing. That was clearly not the correct objective there. Yes, I've got to £1 million, but what does it mean? And the moment I'm going to the gym a lot. It used to be that I'd be like, right, I need to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. And it never really inspired me. It's a bit of a, who really wants to, well, I say who, there's lots of people that want to lose weight, but I didn't really want to lose weight. But it was the turn of, the end, I came back from a holiday, October 23. And I spent the whole time feeling just fat, like by the pool, just like t-shirt on. And I came away thinking, I don't want to be that. I want to change it. But I instead of saying I want to lose weight, I decided that a far more compelling goal would be I want to get absolutely massive, like super ripped. And although, miles away from it still, it's a way longer process than I thought, by the way. I'm pretty annoying. I thought it'd be done in a couple of weeks. But for me, that made it more exciting, but more fun, because my goals now at the gym are different. I'm not going to do cardio, I'm going to do weights. But then alongside that, so that's my overriding thing. That's why I want to be humongous. But I need to set goals up that align with that. So my mind is still wired to think when I jump on those scales, I should have lost weight. I'm still disappointed when I jump on the scales and I haven't lost weight, even though I know that I should be putting on weight if I'm truly getting massive. But at the start of the year, I decided to go on a bulk. Basically, wanted to eat more food, but I was still training, still going to the gym. So I was going up. And after 2 weeks, I jumped on the scales. Well, the gym has one of those machines that does all your body fat composition and stuff. And after 2 weeks, great. It told me I put on a load of muscle and I'd lost a bit of fat. So I was like, cool, this is amazing. 2 weeks later, it said I'd lost muscle but put on fat. So at this point, I just decided to give up on the bulk because I didn't want to put on fat, and I was feeling a bit fat myself. So I thought, right, I need to cut the calories back and still do the training, but go on a cut to get rid of the fat. But is that really supporting the goal? That will slim me down. It won't. But it's just, I think, like you say, when there's so much information out there, that it's so much contradictory information as well. You'll watch 3 or 4 videos, and my Instagram feed is just full of the gym, people at the gym training and stuff, and everyone will be saying different things that you should do. And it's just, I think it's even harder now to get focused with one goal, because so many people are chipping in with there's so many experts out there saying, no, you should be doing this, you should be doing this kind of exercise, you should be eating this, you shouldn't be eating that, you should be eating that. And it's really hard for people to get focused and stay on track. It's really hard to stay on track, because when you're doing something, you're achieving results. I remember at the end of early 24, I'd lost about 1.5 stone because I'd cut down my calories quite a lot. Lost 1.5 stone, and I was talking to people. My goal, remember, at this time was to get massive, and it was like, no, you should be eating this many calories. You should be doing that. So I decided to eat more calories, but by doing so, I was bringing back in the habits I'd cut out. Like I'd cut out the snacking in the evenings, I cut out stuff. So I thought, well, I haven't had enough calories today. I better eat something. And it reintroduced the evening snacking and things like that. And I think just listening to these people that I shouldn't have been listening to tell me what I should be doing, it threw me off track, and it knocked me a bit. And I ended up having a bit of a break in about May time last year, but I got back on it. But now I'm just mindful of who I listen to, whose advice I actually take any notice to, because everyone wants to tell you what you should be doing. In business as well, everyone tells you what you should be doing, but they're not you. They don't know what you want to achieve. So you shouldn't run your business with someone else's goals in mind. You need to think about, what do you want, and is that what you really want? Do you want £1 million turnover? No. If anything, you want profit, because you actually want the cash at the end. And then is it what you're going to do with that? What does that mean to you? If you have that, what's next? And I think you need to think about that as well. Once you get there, what? Because if it is just, well, then I'll go for the next goal, then you're forever going to be just hunting for the next thing. Like when you say, I want to be super rich, like what does that mean? When's enough? or are you always just going to be chasing more and more? If you, like I said, at least if you're saying I want £1 million turnover, it's got a target you can reach. But if you just say I want to be super rich, you'll just be trying to be richer and richer for the rest of your life until you're dead. And then what? You haven't had fun along the way, probably. Maybe you have. I don't know. But I just think.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that some of the richest people I know are the tightest. So they can't be having that much fun. They're like not spending any money. They're trying to be proper stingy.
Well, maybe that's fun to them, Martin.
Well, just earning more money, screwing
Maybe
people over.
I don't know. I mean, well, thank you for sharing that
That's all right.
with us, because the important thing there that kind of stood out for me was that knowing what motivates you as well. It's knowing the goal, but then knowing how you are to be able to motivate yourself. And I can relate, because I had a realization probably about 10 years ago. I'd always viewed diet and exercise as a form of subconscious self punishment. It was like,
Yeah.
gotta lose weight, gotta go running, gotta do all this really hard, like intense stuff. And then I kind of had this realization. I was on a really beautiful retreat in the New Forest, and I was like, doing lots of yoga, lots of gentle movement, lots of and I'm kind of rekindling my love and connection with yoga. And I was like, this is exercise. This is nourishing. This is good for my mind, for my body. And I had this real shift of like, actually, when I'm looking at it as nourishing myself as opposed to punishing myself, things are
Yeah.
so different. So I think understanding kind of what motivates you, but understanding you first, right? This is what you're saying about there will always be someone that has an opinion, and we value that. And I think over the years in my business, my kind of inner circle's got smaller and more concentrated, and is actually probably just full of weirdos now, and the company is amazing. But having to kind of quieten down that noise as your journey and your business evolves, I think is important. But again, it's coming back to who you are and what you're all about. And there are always opinions, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. It's valid. And what a time to be alive, that we are so able to freely share what's working for us, what's made a massive impact to us and a difference to us. Whilst that might not be other people's stories, the freedom that we have to express that, I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But
I think there's too many people out there just giving their opinions, or sometimes not. Just people just chucking out shit out there, just to wind other people up. I think sometimes it's too much. It's too many opinions, and people who feel that their opinion is so much more important and valid than other people's. The internet allows people to say what they want, that they wouldn't be prepared to say to someone's face, and I think that it's I think the world is becoming scary with that ability to do that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's nice that you have that outlet, but sometimes I wish that outlet wasn't a thing. Sometimes I wish that it wasn't. People weren't able to give their opinions so freely because they wouldn't be prepared to say that to someone's face. And sometimes their opinions are just hurtful, and that's a subject probably for another day.
Well, I think you're right, because I feel like that's something probably, once we open that can of worms, I'm probably not going to stop. But may I share one of my wild hopes with you? Because just hearing you earlier speaking about your children and thinking about that kind of that generational thing, one of my wild hopes, and I'm hoping if I keep saying this enough that it will become reality, is you're right, Martin, the world is getting and becoming, and it is a scary place. My wild hope is that our children and the generations that follow will be so much better at shutting out that noise and that negativity. And I hope they will shun social media. I hope they will know that all those reels that they see are kind of so heavily manipulated. I really hope that our children will have a healthier distance than perhaps we have as a generation, because we're the last generation that kind of knew childhood before the internet and before social media, right? So we
Yeah.
know kind of both sides to a degree, but I really hope that our children will have a healthier relationship with all of that information overload.
Yeah, I think that's. I agree. I do fully agree. I think our children are fairly similar in ages. My oldest is coming up to the point where she's constantly asking for a phone, and as much as I don't want her to be the only one without a phone, I'm scared. I'm
Yeah.
scared of her having a phone because you watch so much stuff, you hear so many things, um, you see it, you witness it,
Mm.
you witness what people send when they think there's no consequence because you are sending messages to a device. That is what you're doing. You're writing things and pressing go, and that's it. There's no one there at the end to react to it. There's no consequence. And yeah, the next few years will. I've got three girls. I think the next few years will be very testing, and I'm nervous about what they're going to look like. But yeah, I truly hope the same. I truly hope that they are able to see through it and not be so reliant and dependent on it. But I feel like that maybe after. I think my kids are going to probably have a few struggling years going through it, but we will see. We will see.
Oh, thank you, Martin. It's yeah, I forget you're completely outnumbered, aren't you?
Yeah. That's
Completely
why I go to
outnumbered.
the gym so much. Just hang out there.
Completely outnumbered by women. But Martin, thank you. We're
Thank you for
probably going
having
to
me.
have to come back. You'll have to come back again, and maybe we can talk about some of these other things in much more detail, because such important conversation. I've loved chatting with you today, Martin, and I'm immensely grateful to you for joining us as well. This has been another episode of The Alchemy of Alignment. I'm Susie Sanders. This is Martin Crooke, and do let us know what's resonated with you most today. Take care out there.